12 records one night, and Caitlin Clark didn't even need to do it alone. Last time the Fever played Portland, Caitlin Clark got shoved into foul trouble and Indiana got blown out. Everybody remembers that game. On July 31st, the Indiana Fever walked into Portland again and tore the WNBA record book apart. And by the time the final buzzer hit, 6 different players had their names on the stat sheet in double figures. Stick around because after Portland's crowd starts booing the wrong Fever player, Sophie Cunningham went nuclear on them.
4.2 seconds. Clark draws a foul. Oh, she hit it! It's a 4-point play at the buzzer.
She does not need a screen. You're going to get a free throw. They got to look and see if it counts before time expired, but that's a foul, and she should be at the line with no time on the clock.
Clark from way downtown. She hits a 3.
My goodness. Watch the separation, then the length.
We'll reveal that in a bit because that last part backfires in a way that turns the whole night into something else entirely. Show your love for the Fever in the comments below. Let's go back to May 30th first because you can't appreciate what happened on July 31st without seeing how ugly this rivalry actually got. Portland beat Indiana to 84, and that score doesn't even tell the real story. Caitlin Clark scored 6 points, 6, a season low, and it happened because Portland's entire game plan was built around one idea: swarm her, bump her, and get her in foul trouble as fast as possible. It worked. Clark picked up fouls early, sat for stretches she never should have sat for, and the Fever's whole offense stalled without her running it. Indiana actually jumped out to an 8-2 lead in that game. Then Clark got pulled, the fouls piled up, Portland went on runs, and the rotation fell apart because nobody knew who was supposed to be on the floor. Every other loss the Fever had that season came down to single digits or overtime. This one wasn't close. This one felt like getting caught completely unprepared. And for a young team still figuring out its identity, that's the kind of loss that lingers. Stephanie White didn't dodge it afterward. She pointed to foul trouble. No consistent rotations, too many trips to the free throw line for Portland, turnovers, easy looks handed over for free. Her fix going into the rematch was specific. Defend without fouling, tighten the rotation down to 7 or 8 players, and keep Clark and Aaliyah Boston on the floor together as long as possible. No more mystery substitutions. No more Clark stuck on the bench while the game slipped away. Late carries it through, and that foul whistled late. If it's against, this wasn't about revenge for the sake of revenge. It was about fixing exactly what broke the first time so Clark could play aggressive basketball without worrying about a whistle. And walking into July 31st, Portland had no idea what was coming. How does one player rewrite the record book 6 separate times in one single night? Let's start with the box score because it already looks fake before you even get to the history part. Caitlin Clark finished with 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists, a triple-double against the same Portland team that held her to 6 points back in May. It's not a coincidence. That's a statement. But the records start stacking up even before the triple-double talk begins. Early in the first quarter, Clark hit a bucket that pushed her to 1,500 career points, and she did it in just 78 games. Fastest player in WNBA history to get there. Youngest guard ever to hit that number too. For context, most players take well over 100 games to reach that milestone, and Clark blew past it before some players even settle into a starting role. For a dozen points, the 3-time All-Star coming off a great game. Then it stacks again. Same night, she became the fastest player to reach 1,500 career points and 500 career assists combined. And she didn't stop there because by the final buzzer, she'd also become the fastest to hit 1,500 points and 600 assists, finishing the game with 1,524 points and 651 assists total. Sue Bird held the old record for points and assists combined at 116 games. Clark did it in 78. That's not close. That's not even the same era of basketball. Now here's where the triple-double comes back in. Because it's not just a nice stat line, it's her 4th career triple-double, which ties her for 3rd most in WNBA history. Only Alyssa Thomas and Jessica Shepard have more, and both of those players have been in the league far longer. This one also makes Clark the guard with the most triple-doubles in WNBA history, and she's done it in 3 seasons. 2 as a rookie, 1 during an injury-shortened year, and now this one. 4th career triple-double. Add 1 more layer on top. Clark is the only player in WNBA history to rank top 3 in both points and assists across 2 seasons. Right now, she's averaging 21.5 points a game, 3rd in the league, and 7.9 assists a game. 2nd in the league behind only Alyssa Thomas. Scorers who lead the league in points rarely lead in assists, too. Clark's doing both, and nobody else in league history has managed that combination, even once. The free throw line tells its own story. Clark went 14 for 17 from the stripe, and her 17 attempts were 8 more than anybody else on the floor that night. That's not touch fouls. That's a guard driving into the paint over and over, forcing contact and making the defense pay for putting hands on her. Then there's the buzzer beater 3 at the end of the first quarter. A contested shot that gave Indiana a 27-25 lead, and it looked like she got fouled on the release too. No call. She was livid, and Aaliyah Boston and Ty Harris had to walk her back to the bench because she was one technical away from an automatic suspension. Backdoor pass, and it's Mitch off. Yeah, it's gonna have to be late show, late takeover. None of this reads like stat padding. It reads like someone controlling every part of the game at once, scoring when Indiana needs points, setting up teammates when the defense collapses on her, and grabbing rebounds when the offense needs another possession. 6 records, 1 player, 1 night. No guard in league history has ever put that many records together this fast. And she didn't do it by herself. The record sheet has other names on it too. 6 records from Clark sound like a one-woman show, but flip through the rest of the box score and the record book keeps going. Mitchell matched Clark point for point with 26 of her own. And that wasn't a one-off. That's now 13 straight games scoring 20 or more, tying Diana Taurasi for second longest streak in WNBA history. Only Asia Wilson's 15-game run from last year sits ahead of it. Clark bouncing, Mitchell lays it home. Mitchell picks her spots too. She let Clark control the first half, then took over in the third quarter with 11 points, added 8 more in the fourth, and finished 4 of 12 from 3. During the game, she also drained her 749th career three-pointer, passing Tina Thompson for 6th place on the all-time list. Thompson played 15 years and made over 900 threes back when the three-point shot barely got used around the league. Mitchell passing her isn't a small thing. So, 4.2 seconds for Indiana to try to get a good look. Clark, yes, cheering. What a shot. Now it's Boston flipping it home. Aaliyah Boston's line doesn't jump off the page the same way until you look closer. 14 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals, and she played over 30 minutes after tweaking her knee in the previous game. Those 5 steals mattered more than any other number she put up because they turned into instant offense. One of them led directly to a Sophie Cunningham 3. Boston's reads on passing lanes and her hands in the right spot sparked a 14-2 run in the second quarter that flipped the game's whole tempo. She also climbed to 3rd in franchise history for field goals made, passing Katie Douglas, a name every longtime Fever fan knows well. Boston isn't just scoring inside anymore. She's the two-way engine that frees up Clark and Mitchell to play loose on the perimeter because Portland can't sag off her without paying for it on the other end. And Boston with another steal, and it worked. And Tipson beats everybody home. I think she thought about maybe throwing that down, but then there's Michaela Tipson, and her night deserves its own spotlight. Career-high 15 points off the bench, shooting 7 of 8 from the field, and her only miss came from a clean block from behind, with 33.88 seconds left. Timpson set a screen for Clark, rolled hard to the rim, caught the pass, and finished the layup that locked in Clark's 10th assist and completed the triple-double. That sequence wasn't luck. Timpson called it being in my spots and cutting off the ball. And that kind of red only comes from reps built in practice, not instinct alone. With Misha Hines-Allen out and Lexi Hall limited by foul trouble, Timpson's spark off the bench filled a hole Indiana badly needed. Field 4 players, 10 records combined, and none of it happened in isolation. Clark's 6, Mitchell's 2, Boston's 1, Timpson's 1, all stacked into the same 48 minutes. And it connects straight back to the team stat that mattered most. 6 players in double figures. Monique Billings added 15 points and 7 rebounds, her 4th double-figure game in the last 5. Cunningham chipped in 13 on 3 of 5, shooting from deep. Indiana shot 53% as a team, and none of Portland's defensive adjustments worked because shutting down one Fever player just handed the ball to somebody else who could score just as easy. 4 players, 10 records, 1 night. And Portland never found an answer for any of it. And none of those 10 records even touched the 2 that belonged to the whole team. The ones that made the rest of the league sit up and take notice. 20 for Indiana. Clark cheering year 1 with the expansion franchise inside. Could it be a triple-double? Yes, it is the triple-double for Caitlin Clark. 26 points, 10 assists, donuts, bo. Give him the win. Give him the win. Hey, you already know what time it is. None of this happens without pace.
Aaliyah Boston put it simply. The team plays fast. Everyone on the roster can score. And they take the shots the offense is designed to create, which puts Indiana in position to crash the glass and get second chances instead of settling for one shot and retreating on defense. That's the tactical shift from the first Portland game, paying off in real time. Back in May, the Fever's offense stalled the second Clark sat down. Now, with Clark and Boston both staying on the floor together, and the rotation tightened, the ball keeps moving no matter who's out there running it. The defense fed the fire just as much as the offense did. Portland turned the ball over 20 times and Indiana turned those giveaways directly into 31 points. Fire head coach Alex Sarama called the turnovers frustrating afterward and admitted there wasn't one single pattern to blame. No one specific mistake repeating itself, just mistakes everywhere. Bridget Carlton said flat out that the turnovers were the biggest reason Portland lost. Record-breaking offense doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens because the defense forces bad decisions first. And Indiana's defense did exactly that all night. The fourth quarter almost slipped away though, and this is where the game got tense again. Portland ripped off a 16-4 run that cut Indiana's lead down to just 7 points and the whole building started feeling the shift. Then Kelsey Mitchell got called for an offensive foul and Stephanie White threw the challenge flag immediately. The review overturned it, ruling that Carla Light committed the defensive foul a half second before Mitchell's contact happened, which means instead of losing the ball, Mitchell walked to the line and knocked down 2 free throws. That single overturned call flipped the whole momentum back, silenced Portland's crowd right when they were getting loud, and let Indiana settle back into their rhythm instead of panicking. And that crowd noise brings us to Sophie Cunningham. Because Portland's fans made a choice before the game even started. They booed her walking into the arena. Cunningham's answer was 13 points on 3 of 5 shooting from 3. And every single one of those threes landed like she was replying directly to the boos. This wasn't Cunningham forcing shots to prove a point either. She hit her looks in rhythm in the flow of Indiana's offense off passes from Boston and Clark, which makes the response hit even harder. Because it wasn't selfish, it was Cunningham cashing in on exactly the shots the team designed for her. And Cunningham picks it off. Cunningham's night turns into the emotional stamp on the entire game. Booed walking in then walking out having outscored the noise. And the rest of the roster fed off it, too. When a crowd turns hostile like that, a team either shrinks or it turns that hostility into fuel. And Indiana chose the second option together as a group. Cunningham's threes weren't just points on a scoreboard. They were Portland's own fans handing Indiana motivation for free. 2 records no team in league history has ever touched. A fourth-quarter review that saved the game's momentum. And Cunningham turning a hostile road crowd into her own personal highlight reel. 13 points, 3 made threes, and a Portland crowd that started the night booing her and ended it watching her walk off the floor with the win. Final score 112-98. Back in May, Portland won by 16. This time, Indiana won by 14. And that swing tells you everything about what changed in 2 months. That's not a coincidence, and it's not luck, either. That's a team that got embarrassed once, figured out exactly what broke, and fixed it in front of the same opponent. Clark played free all night. No foul trouble, no minutes lost sitting on the bench watching the offense stall without her. 0.6 players scored in double figures, which means Portland couldn't load up on one name and shut the game down. Stephanie White's rotation fix worked, exactly like it was supposed to, and Boston stayed on the floor next to Clark for the stretches that matter most. 12 records fell in one night, and none of them came from one player carrying dead weight. They came from a full roster clicking at the same time. So, where does this go from here? Clark's chasing an MVP conversation that's only getting louder, and Indiana is sitting on a scoring record that's still growing with 16 games left to break it further. Nobody's printing championship banners yet. But after a night like this, nobody's ruling it out either. Show your love for the Fever in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next.